Hello everyone, I'm Dratnos with Method, and today I'm running down the dungeon, the Halls of Atonement, as it stands right now on the Shadowlands Alpha. The first boss you'll be facing is Halkias, the sin-stained Goliath. This guy is a cross between an earth elemental and a gothic church. The first main mechanic of this fight you'll have to deal with is Crumbling Slam. The boss will slam down in front of him, dealing a lot of damage, so you don't want to be there if you can help it. Periodically, Halkias will cast Heave Debris, and hurl a chunk of debris at a random player, doing damage to that player and anyone close to them, so make sure to spread. And it also leaves behind glass shards on the floor. If you stand in these, you'll take damage, so watch out. The boss will also cast Refracted Sinlight. Beams will shoot out of the boss and start to rotate. Players are going to have to dodge this, or else they'll take damage. And because of this, they'll need to be careful where they're dropping glass shards, so that they're not running over glass to escape the beams. Watch out though, as this beam will randomly change directions. The final mechanic is Sinlight Visions, which fears a random player. This cannon should be dispelled to keep people from running into glass shards. After Halkias is down, players face Exelon. Periodically, Exelon will spawn adds. These need to be DPS down as they deal a lot of tank damage. However, when they die, they do a party-wide explosion, so players need to be careful to not kill them all at once unless they all have defensives or a healing cooldown at the ready. When the adds die, they enter a stone form and become untargetable. They'll be reanimated when the boss summons the next wave of adds, so they do need to be dealt with. The way you deal with them is through another boss mechanic called Shattering Leap. The boss will cast Shattering Leap on a random player throughout the encounter, and that player should stand on top of the stone form adds, and then they'll shatter, so you don't have to deal with them again. If there aren't any adds up, the player should just move away from other players, as it does do some splash damage. Much like King Dazar's Quaking Leap, the boss locks onto their location and then leaps there, so the player does have a little bit of time to move out to avoid taking the maximum amount of damage. During the fight, pools of blood will appear. Players should avoid standing in these blood torrents as they deal ticking damage. Once the boss hits 100 energy, it will cast Curse of Stone on a random player. This requires a curse dispel, or the player will be stunned for 4 seconds. This can overlap with the Stone Shattering Leap and one-shot the player if hit with both, so groups will need that curse dispel. The third boss is High Adjudicator Aliz. This boss will periodically spawn ghastly parishioners that will lock onto a player and slowly chase them. They deal pulsing damage to any player close to them and can't be DPS down. The adds will stop moving if someone's looking at them, or they can be kited into one of the vessels of atonement in the room. That'll get rid of the add, but don't stand too close to a vessel when an add runs into it, as it will deal an AoE pulse of damage. Other than that, the boss will bolt the tank and volley the party. Both of these are interruptible casts. It's best to prioritize the volleys, since that does more total damage. Finally, we have Lord Chamberlain. This fight is mainly about dodging the 4 statues that start around the boss. Throughout the fight, he'll be throwing them around with the Telekinetic Repulsion and Telekinetic Toss abilities. Players hit will take a big hit of damage and they'll get knocked back. Periodically, he'll pull all 4 of the statues to him and then throw them out in a straight line. This is fairly telegraphed, so it should be fairly easy to dodge. He'll also cast Unleash Suffering, which is a frontal cone. Players should dodge that, and then he'll cast Erupting Torment, which is AoE damage around him, and players should dodge that too by walking away from him. He'll periodically target a random statue and channel Ritual of Woe into it. When this hits the statue, it'll do party-wide damage, but one player can stand in between the boss and the targeted statue to interrupt that ritual and take the damage instead on just themselves instead of it being reflected onto all 5 players. Finally, the boss will cast Stigma of Pride on a random player. This is a dot that hits progressively harder the longer it's on and just needs to be healed through. So that's the dungeon as it stands right now. I've been Dratnos with Method, and thanks for watching.